Hey friend, Heather Creekmore here. Today you are getting the chance to spy. Well, it's not really spying because I'm just putting it out there for you, but you get to eavesdrop in on another coaching session with my client, Presli. And today we're talking about contentment and chasing a different size body and kind of what that looks like for Presli and what God is showing her on her journey to body image freedom. Lots of good stuff today. This is part 1 of 2 because I do hour-long coaching sessions. So I'm letting you hear the whole thing. And I hope it's a blessing to you. The goal of sharing this is not to air Presli's stuff, but it's with the hope that perhaps something in Presli's story resonates with something in your story. And so through hearing me coach her, perhaps there will be words, thoughts, ideas, concepts that will minister to you and what you've been through and the journey you're on too. So let me know if listening in on these coaching sessions are helpful for you. And hey, let me know if maybe you want coaching yourself. I'm getting ready to open a brand new group coaching session. It's going to be a mini session because, hey, I know your life is busy like mine. We're just going to do April and May, just 7 weeks, only 4 group sessions during that time, but you'll get access to the Body Image Freedom Framework online course for a full 6 months. So you can go through that at your speed, but you can kind of get started with a group and get some, I would say, good foundation built if you want to work through it this summer or whenever you have time. So check that out at improveBodyImage.com. Go to the Body Image Freedom Framework tab, coaching tab, and you'll find out more. Let's get to today's episode. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to Compared to Who, the podcast to help you make peace with your body so you can savor God's rest and feel His love. If you're tired of fighting body image the world's way, Compared to Who is the show for you. You've likely heard lots of talk about loving your body, but my goal is different. Striving to fall in love with stretch marks and cellulite is a little silly to me. Instead, I want to encourage you and remind you with the truth of Scripture that you are seen, you are known, and you are loved no matter what your size or shape. Here, the pressure is off. If you're looking for real talk, biblical encouragement, and regular reminders that God loves you and you're not alone, you've come to the right place. I hope you enjoy today's show, and hey, tell a friend about it. Hey, Presli, how are you today?
Hey, Heather, doing good. How about you?
Good. I was just thinking about how it's just Monday morning for me, but you already lived through Monday. So over in
Yeah,
your
I can
side of the world.
yeah, I can tell you you're gonna make it till at least 4 p.m. You're gonna make it.
Good. Good. Well, and it's winter here. Are you in the middle of summer?
We are moving towards the end of summer. I think
Okay.
winter starts March, but I'm still getting used to all of that.
The transition. Yeah. Well, I can't even imagine what it's like
It
to
is
be.
very
So,
weird.
yeah, that's awesome, though. It's fun to connect
Yeah.
with South Africa regularly. So I feel I feel very globally connected.
Yeah.
Well, how did your homework go? How have you been feeling? What's been coming up?
So yeah, I thought about that comment from my mom, and I had a lot of trouble coming up with anything I really uh feel about it. Like as an adult, I have feelings about it, but then I don't think I really knew that that wasn't what I needed from her at that time.
Yeah. 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 So, okay. So let's go there as an adult. What are your feelings about it?
I honestly feel bad
Mm-hmm.
that she didn't know better than to say that, because I feel like as a parent, it's so easy to say something
Mm,
that, your kid may be in therapy for, when they're an adult, and it didn't mean anything to you.
yeah.
Like, I bet she wouldn't even remember it if I brought it up to her. And
Right.
that's just honestly a wake up call as a parent, is what we say is important.
Right. Right. And like, I love what you just said because it's so true. Like, it's a throwaway comment for the person who says it. And that's the way it is for most of the women I work with. It was the throwaway comment. In fact, I just did a podcast. I don't know if it's aired yet. Maybe, I don't know if that part aired already. So I don't know if you would have heard it yet. But one of the women I interviewed, she was one of my coaching clients, talks about how someone literally drove by and yelled,
Donna.
yelled, lose some weight.
Oh,
Throwaway
yeah.
comment. I don't know that guy, kid, whomever would remember that. And yet
Yeah.
it sticks for decades.
That
So,
stuck to me when I heard it. I
yeah,
was
I
like,
know. Yeah.
Aina. Like for here, they don't say ow in South Africa. They say Aina. So that's rubbed off. I mean, my first thought was Aina. That hurt.
No, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, okay, but let me kind of push you a little bit. It's pretty early in our call. I don't know. Are you ready to be pushed? Or should we
Yeah,
warm up more?
yeah, no, I'm ready to be pushed. I've made it through
Okay.
the whole day.
Okay, you said bad. You said it made me feel bad. Well, when I used to teach English, we didn't allow the word bad because bad could be like, I had a bad piece of meat, or bad could be like, I'm dying in the hospital. Like their bad is so imprecise.
Yeah.
So can we go deeper than bad? Like how did it really make you feel? What other words would be more precise than bad to describe that feeling?
Yeah, so I did think of a few other words, and it was like rejected, um
Yeah.
or there's like conditions on love, or you can be
Mm,
or you can be unacceptable for something that you're not even aware of.
yeah. That's good, Presley. Good work. Yeah. Rejected. So I think about my friend Tracy Brown, who's a dietitian, and one of her big things is that all of us have some point of rejection. And that's kind of the
Yeah.
root of this. And I'm way oversimplifying. So, Tracy, if you're listening, I'm sorry. We butchered some of my things, but the gist of it, right? Like that was a pivotal moment of rejection that you shouldn't have, right? And I mean, all of our parents are sinners, right? Like, because and like you said, as
Oh, yeah.
parents, we don't have any chance of doing it perfectly either.
Right.
But like, what do you do with that rejection?
I think I tend to avoid it and like cut it off.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
But I thought when I was journaling, something came up, and it's always like I remember it vividly. So my dad, thanks to my dad's genetics, he has a small like patch of hair on his lower back.
Okay.
I inherited that patch
Mm,
of hair. I hate it. Because it's always like there in a bathing suit. I feel like it's so noticeable. My husband now tells me like, I can't believe who traumatized you about that. It's nothing. But to
uh,
me, it is like I have a wig on my back, and it really
yeah.
bothers me. And when I was young, I also had a mole on my chin here, which I had removed later. But one time, me and my son's dad, who I'm not married to now, um, but we were riding four-wheelers with a big group of friends, and we were stopping to rest, like a water break. And he lifted up the back of my shirt in front of everyone and was like, "Oh God, we need to shave that." And I was like, I
Wow.
could have just died. Like
Yeah.
I could have just died right there. And I still to this day, like I can't wear a bathing suit, or I can't wear even a shirt that I feel like if I raise my arms, it would show. Like
Yeah.
it is terrifying to me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like it
And
really,
did he know that was something you were sensitive about?
I don't think so. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think so because our relationship was really um shallow, and we were together for a few years, but he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, we
When you're
neither
young.
one of us, yeah. I think we separated when I was like 24. I had
Yeah.
my son when I was 22, and
Yeah.
the whole relationship was full of problems and like addiction and it was just everything you don't want in a relationship. And I
Yeah.
think after studying it a little bit, he had some narcissistic traits.
Mm,
And but the hair bothered me before that. But it
mm,
was like after that, it was like, yikes, it's
yeah.
really unacceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a mole on my wrist that now I'm like, I don't even know if you can see it in the video, but like, where is it? But it was just like, it's moved since I had babies. Actually, my arms grew because it used to be just like
Yeah,
right there and
yeah,
right by my hand. And I used to put cover up on it. Like I was so overly conscious. And, I don't even know like who pointed it out to me. Someone must have. But
yeah,
it's those little things that we do get in our head and then like the dysmorphia like takes over and it's like, oh, I'm covered in hair or I'm covered in moles,
yeah,
right? But I think the rejection that comes from whatever it is, and I mean, really, right? It's someone's opinion, right? Because, like you said,
right.
now, like your husband doesn't even know it. Like he's like, I don't know what the big deal is about that, right? So it's someone's opinion, and it's so interesting because I
Yeah,
feel like it's normally someone's opinion that either like that person has exhibited that they don't care well I mean in some cases it's parents who are trying to get us to be more beautiful and think that is a endeavor that will help us. They're doing it for good reasons, but it's a little
yeah, have an
misguided at the
easier
same time.
life.
Right. They're in the world's economy, if you will. But the rejection is real, even if we can write off the person. So what do you do? I'm going to go back to what do you do with the rejection? You said ignore it or excuse it. Like, can you be sad about it? Can you feel it?
Yeah. And I also think, um, I don't know if it's like sad, but like then I want to cover it up.
Hmm.
Like I want to work out to look strong and I want to um, get waxed or get laser hair removal so that I can
Yeah.
be a hairless baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's shame, right?
Yeah.
It's the rejection causes shame. And so, what can I do to remove the shame? And you kind of believe what we all believe, right? If I could just get the shame to go away by doing these physical things, then I wouldn't feel hurt anymore because then I would know I'm better than that, right? I
Right.
fixed it. Like, there's nothing else you can criticize me on until they
Yeah.
find something else to criticize you on, or until someone else
Yeah.
finds something to criticize you on.
And that's what I realized about the ideal image when I was going through the course and I was answering the questions about part two of the ideal image was I I journaled it out and I realized if I were her, if I were Kate Beckinsale, then I would be above reproach. I would be above criticism and I could just relax in any situation and any social situation. I would be able to wear the outfits or be in the appropriate attire and be totally comfortable because I'm perfect. And what can you say? If you say
Right,
something, you just are jealous. So
right, right. And it's so funny. I do the Bible through a year and I do a plan. Nikki Gumbel has written, so there's a devotional in front of the Bible reading. And the plan today was one of the devotional concepts today was the more influence you have, the more criticism you receive. So it's like, it's so true. Like I think the image idol tells us if you could just be me, no one could touch you. And yet,
right.
reality is, Kate Beckinsale has probably received more criticism about her body than you could have ever conceived of, right? Because, well, I had models on the show a couple of years ago. I did a series with models. I don't know if you listened to those episodes or
I
not,
think I did.
but one of my friends, Amanda Cunningham, talks about how like you just stood there in a room with next to nothing on, and people just walked like by you, a variety of people just walked by you criticizing your body, just like that was a normal part of the modeling experience. And that
Yeah.
happens like with celebrities too, if they're playing these roles, how criticized they are, right? But yet the idol lies to us. So why, and maybe you journaled about this, why is it so easy to believe that is true? That you would be above reproach if you look like her?
It's a good question because I think like when you, I don't know, experience shame about certain body characteristics, it like leads to like extreme body checking where
Mm-hmm.
like I can see a woman and sadly size her up in like 5 seconds of what she has that I want. And when I look at her at Kate Beckinsale, she has everything that I need that I won't have. Then I won't have to worry about all the past stuff. It won't come up again because it's not. But then I realize how shallow that sounds like. It's not all about physical stuff. And I actually was journaling about this, and I was in the car waiting to pick my son up from school, and I saw a girl walk across the street, and she was super thin, and she had, big chest, and like she just rocked her outfit, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm body checking someone right now. And I don't know if, I don't know what it is about it.
So when you look at the woman, like the woman across the street, what else do you assign to her?
That she's acceptable,
Okay.
that I think I wrote it. And I also wrote I felt really guilty about that I had done that. Okay, I wrote in an instant I had broken us both down to physical attributes, acceptable and unacceptable, righteous and pitiful, worthy and just sad, and lovable and shameful.
Mm.
Embarrassing, I think, is also another
Mm.
word that I feel sometimes like I don't want to be embarrassed and I don't want to be an embarrassment. But
Yeah.
to what
I feel like that word is a word you heard in childhood. Was that part of your mom's statement? I don't think it was part of what your mom said, but I wonder if there's something else that was said with that word.
Yeah, I think I did always feel a little bit of embarrassment or like pending embarrassment. Like someone may bring up the mole on my face, or I may raise my hands and my back might show, and then I'm going to be embarrassed. And it was like a constant anxiety, like I'm going to be seen and that's going to be embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, really the problem that these issues create, right, is that every one of us longs to truly be seen and accepted and loved just as we are, right? Not rejected, not mocked, but to be seen, accepted, and loved. And yet, like these body image issues, the idol and the shame, they tell you you cannot be. You have to hide. You have to make sure no one sees this part or this part. And you have to, or try to do better. So if they do see this part, it's acceptable to them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's the truth for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But I was listening to one of the Tim Keller sermons that was on the course, and wow, Tim Keller, I love that his wife, and I can't remember exactly which one, but she was talking about how people don't always know she's the pastor's wife, and they say like, "Oh, you're the pastor's wife,"
Mhm.
and I don't know, I felt so happy when she was like saying she knows she's not attractive and she was fine with that, and I was like, wow, so you don't have to be attractive. That doesn't matter. and she was fine with it. Her husband was fine with it. And I don't know why that felt like that
Yeah.
sounds very freeing. But that feeling comes and goes because sometimes it's like, oh, I can be free to be unattractive. It doesn't matter what the world thinks or what even I think.
Mm-hmm.
But then like that feeling tries to creep back in. I think mostly in like moments of discontentment, or if you just I I notice if I'm feeling discontent in my body, I feel discontent in my marriage, or vice versa. One
Mm-hmm.
can come first, but if I'm discontent in everything,
Yeah.
and almost like hard-hearted toward not pursuing body image or not pursuing a better marriage or a better like just a bad attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there's grace for that, Presley, because I think some of that is a trauma response, right? And that's like above my pay grade. Like the counselors are probably like quaking that I'm going to go here. But no, I mean, I think there might be some more to dig in there for sure. But I think some of that is you've learned that it's not safe, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe you hear stories of women like Kathy Keller who are safe, right?
Yeah.
Loved, maybe like established, in a respectable position. It would be interesting to know like what other like things about her life, and not like specifics, but just like there's something about like her having that position, being married to someone prominent and not having the look, if you
Yeah.
will, that exudes safety and
Yeah. It really does.
maybe reminds us of, like I talk about in the course, like God's economy versus culture, the world's economy, right? So it's like, wow, they're actually able to like live by that, like, the upside down kingdom, that like it doesn't, what actually matters is a different kind of beauty, and what people actually value is a different kind of beauty, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like the scales kind of try to fall off that. Like beauty is not that, and it's just a thing. And when I was trying to research about God's beauty and listening to God's Beauty, Tim Keller's sermon, I felt so shallow that I never thought about when in the Bible it would say God's beauty, that it was his attribute, like it was his character. I'm
Yeah.
always picturing like this studly angel character, and I was so ashamed that that was as deep as I get. If you say beauty, I was like, oh my goodness, I've got a lot of work to do.
Hmm. Well, don't we all? Well, I was listening to, and I don't know if it was that sermon or another one, because I was listening to one of them recently that I had listened to before and might even be part of the course. But it was talking about like the intentionality of Jesus not being good looking.
Yes, I
Was that
heard
the
that
same
one
sermon?
too.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
it might have been, but I did
Yeah.
hear that one too. That was also comforting.
Like he chose that for
Yeah,
himself. And even though I don't think that culture was like where we're at in terms of physical appearance,
right.
it it must have mattered because the Bible gives us that fact, right? I don't know that the Bible would have given us that fact if it didn't matter. So the fact that he had nothing about him physically that attracted other people to him, and I'm supposed to be
Yeah,
like Jesus.
yeah. Like that plus attractive, please.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could do it. I mean, I'm not Jesus, so I need a little bit more help. I could
Yeah,
do it
exactly.
better if I was hotter, right?
Yeah, it's
That's
so
realistic.
sad, but
Totally
yeah,
realistic. Ah, and then it's why, right? So we're going to loop right back to why. And I think it's because I don't want to be rejected,
yeah,
right? I want to be safe from that. But then to stay on our Jesus conversation, he was rejected, despised,
Yeah.
right? Like, and to me, it's like, oh, despised. Oh, I want people to like me. I want to be despised.
Yeah,
Oh, please don't
definitely.
despise me. Please don't reject me. Please, please, please. How can I change so you like me more?
Yeah. I wonder how Jesus dealt with that rejection. Like if it made him sad or uncomfortable.
I think it I think it had to have made him sad, right? Because like they were rejecting God, so he knew that it was much deeper than just whatever words or actions they were taking against him.
Right.
But I love that you asked about uncomfortable because I think that's where the lesson is, right? Because Jesus's safety and security and comfort would have never come from the approval of man,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, his ministry would have been completely ineffective.
Yeah. And I've been wrapping my mind around that because that's a new concept for me. And coming back to that, like you can be comfortable regardless of physical. And it's just, it sounds really freeing. But I never thought of it. Like I never thought you could be okay with not being the fit girl or not being strong or beautiful, or it doesn't really matter. I have to remind myself of that because it comes back up trying to matter.
Yeah. Well, so I use this illustration way too much. I probably need to connect with this person and tell them I use them. But but do you know who Nick Vujicic is?
I do. Yeah.
So for anyone who's like listening in on our coaching call who doesn't know, he was born without any arms or legs.
Yeah.
And yet, like I'm sure he has his days, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
like he married a beautiful woman. They have children.
I didn't know that.
He
Wow.
has a global ministry where he preaches to millions. And I mean, I heard him speak one time, they lift him onto a table so he can speak, so he can be tall enough for everyone to see him.
Yeah, I've seen
And,
him on a table.
and he made the comment like, how can a man without arms or legs be the hands and feet of Jesus? Was kind of
I
like
heard
his
that.
prayer or thought or whatever. And I mean, and that just always gets me. And well, and then the countless stories of, the beauty queen who was in the tragic accident and her face is disfigured, or there's a woman with a fantastic ministry, and I've been trying to get her on the show. But I think she had a stroke. She was a beauty queen, like had a stroke in like her 20s. And so she's like paralyzed in one
Man.
half of her body, you know. And so it's like, and when I go through these, it's like my first tendency is to be like, oh, Heather, how ridiculous that you're struggling, because these people actually, like, whoa, like the struggle they have. And so I don't do it to
Right.
shame myself or you. Like I don't bring that up to like shame on you. You shouldn't feel bad, because that doesn't actually help. But I think that looking at these stories can be somewhat aspirational for us, because like you
Right.
said, it feels impossible. Like, how could I ever be happy with this? And then it's like, but wait, I know it's possible, because these people have like the joy of the Lord. These people, they're content, even though they
Content.
don't match the culture's standard. And I'm sure that they have to work at contentment just like you and I have to work at contentment. But the contentment is possible. It's not, I think culture tells us the contentment is conditioned upon you getting what you think you need to be content, right? And
Yeah.
scripture tells us the contentment is only conditioned upon like finding our value, satisfaction, joy, and rest in the
Right. And
Lord.
Tim Keller said, first things first and second things second. And you can't do second things first and
Yeah.
do first things second. That is also like, it's just radical to see it a different way than how you've always known it.
Yeah.
It's like it's beauty first and then everything falls into line. But no, it's like seeking the Lord and his righteousness and sanctification and everything else it'll come.
Right. Right. To whatever degree you need it, because you think you need it to like this degree right now in order to, and I'm going to use this word. I don't know if I've used this word yet with you, but like in order to be safe, like I think that's what it
Yeah.
is, to be safe, you know, and
Yeah,
to make sure that no one ever criticizes me, to make sure I'm never
definitely.
rejected, to make sure I'm always acceptable, that I would be safe. But we're never going to be safe here. I mean,
Yeah,
except for in Jesus, right? In the Lord, we can be safe.
exactly.
But in this place of, you know, this body will keep me safe, this look will keep me safe, this size will keep me safe, this kind of hair, you know, this kind of
Right.
skin, this body part, like none of those things actually keep people safe. You'll hear the rest of Presli's coaching call on Friday. Thanks for being here. Hey, I hope something today has helped you stop comparing and start living. The Compared To Show is proud to be part of the Life Audio Podcast Network. For more great Christian content, go to lifeaudio.com.